the station working for you. This is WRTV News at 11, streaming now.
Hey, good evening to you. Here at 11 o'clock, I'm Mark Mullins. Amanda has the night off. The race for the White House is not at the finish line yet. You just heard a few moments ago former Vice President Joe Biden, where Biden doubled down on his confidence that he would win the election. He explained his team is already getting to work on plans to combat the pandemic and get the economy back on track. And he said that he would work for those who voted for him as well as those who did not, in an effort to unite the nation. Votes are still being counted in a handful of battleground states, and they're still too close to call. Here's a look at the latest ABC News Electoral College map according to the network's projections. Neither candidate has reached the 270 electoral votes needed to clinch the presidency. Former Vice President Joe Biden's message tonight is similar to what he's been telling the country since Election Day. ABC's Marcy Gonzalez has the latest on that and President Trump's legal challenges.
At the end of a week of uncertainty, with a winner still not declared in this historic presidential election, Joe Biden trying to bring calm to an anxious nation.
Democracy is sometimes messy. It sometimes requires a little patience as well.
The former vice president's lead growing in some battleground states as ballot counting continues, including in Pennsylvania, where Biden is currently ahead. If he wins those 20 electoral votes, he will be the next president. If President Donald Trump wins Pennsylvania, he would still have to win several other states to secure a second term. The president tweeting ahead of Biden's speech, Joe Biden should not wrongfully claim the office of the president. I could make that claim also. Legal proceedings are just now beginning. The president's team has already filed multiple lawsuits as he baselessly questions the integrity of this election, making unsubstantiated claims of fraud.
They're trying to rig an election, and we can't let that happen.
Election officials across the country adamantly dispute the president's assertions.
We have not seen anything so widespread that it could potentially affect the outcomes.
While some, including the president, continue to spew baseless claims of fraud, claims for which his team has not produced one iota of evidence, what we have seen here in Philadelphia is democracy, pure and simple.
And Joe Biden says his team plans to fight any legal challenges and make sure every lawful ballot is counted. Marcy Gonzalez, ABC News, Wilmington, Delaware.
Well, if you're anxious or stressed as the world waits for a clear picture on the presidential race, you are not alone. We asked Hoosiers how they're feeling on this Friday after the election.
I've just been keeping tabs on the election by looking at different news outlets and like Googling different things, trying to keep up to date.
It's my first election voting, so it's kind of the one that I've kept the most tabs on, and I think it's probably one of the most stressful elections that I've been around for.
It's been a little turbulent. I didn't think that it'd be as close as what it is.
It's been kind of consuming on the news. Everything has been basically around the election, so it's a lot different than a normal week.
If you're feeling election anxiety, psychiatrists say a good way to manage your stress is to maintain your daily schedule. Work, sleep, exercise, and meals provide structure. They also say it's important to remember the vote is over and the outcome is out of your control. No matter who wins the White House, after all the votes are counted and any legal battles are settled, the next president will be tasked with leading a divided nation. We asked Hoosiers about the issues that influence their votes.
We're in the middle of a global pandemic, and through the inaction of our current president, people are dying, and we need somebody to come in and do the actions that we need to protect people's lives.
I believe in the American dream, and I see it under attack, and I'm not so concerned about myself because I've lived my life, but my children, I am concerned about my children's future, and I saw President Trump as the hope.
I always vote the individual, be it a Republican, a Democrat, a Libertarian, whoever you're going to vote for. You have to vote for what the person is going to do, and does this individual align best with what you want for the nation.
Education is the most important thing, I think, for our community, because we need to invest in it. So the next election, we can continue to prosper. We can continue to build an America and a nation that we are proud of, not just as Latinos, but as Americans.
Of course, there are many, many other elected officials who impact national, state, and local policies. And speaking of local races, Marion County wrapped up all counting absentee ballots this afternoon. Workers and volunteers finished just before 2 o'clock. The clerk's office says they tabulated a total of 215,912 absentee ballots. You can find election results and other political coverage on our website at WRTV.com. Now that the forecast, tomorrow will be a great day to take a walk along the canal or get outside in other places. Kevin, a lot of sunshine out there.
Great, fantastic, unbelievable, extraordinary. You pick an adjective, it will apply as long as it's a good one for tomorrow. Temperatures, they're in the low 50s to upper 40s right now. Temperatures overnight will be about average for this time of year. There's our landing spot, 44 degrees. That's also our launching pad. The record tomorrow, 76 all the way back to 1915. Right now we're forecast to fall just short of that. 74 the predicted high. There's all the sunshine that Mark talked about. That 74 is not the warmest temperature in my forecast. We'll talk about Tuesday thunderstorms and what it means for the way you'll dress next Wednesday, still coming up.
Health officials continue to warn that COVID will likely become even more widespread in the winter months. WRTV's Cornelius Hawker spoke to small business owners who are concerned about the impact this next wave will have on their businesses, as some of them are just now getting back on their feet.
I definitely have anxiety when the numbers rise.
Meredith Fry has reason to worry because she just opened her business, Indie Fuse Glass, in January.
I just really started to get going, and then, of course, like everybody else, big downturn, shutdown, wasn't able to come in at all.
8 months into this pandemic, Meredith is back open, eager for customers.
It's nice to see people finally here and feeling comfortable enough to come out.
And doing everything she can to make her space as safe as possible.
I have people take their temperature before they come in. I do a little self-screening. They fill out a form. Have they been around anybody who's been sick? Got hand sanitizer.
Meredith's business is in the Circle City Industrial Complex, home to several small businesses. All of them happy to see people out for the complex's first Friday. Meredith tells me this is the biggest one they've had since the pandemic began. Her fingers are crossed that people continue taking the necessary precautions to slow the spread of COVID-19. She doesn't want to think about the alternative if things don't get better, and our elected leaders have to intervene like they did in the spring.
I will say if there's another shutdown, I'll be done. I don't think I could withstand a second shutdown.
Working for you, Cornelius Hawker, WRTV.
The Indy Winter Farmers Market is housed in the Circle City Industrial Complex. It opens for the season tomorrow and will be open every Saturday from 9 to 12:30. You must wear a mask, keep your distance, and if you're sick, they want you to stay home. IU Health is hosting a virtual hiring event next week in an effort to fill hundreds of open and critical positions. It's looking to add 700 nurses and medical assistants across the state. There's a particular focus on hiring registered nurses and medical assistants. The chief medical officer of IU Health Methodist and University Hospitals tells WRTV staffing and people are his biggest concern as the pandemic continues.
Our team members are a part of our community, and the community rates that we're seeing are also affecting our team members. So we know that some of our team members are going to be sick, and we are working to try to resource some of the additional staff that we can, as well as looking for some external resources. Now, everybody across the country is looking for those same resources, so that's really unprecedented demand right now.
For more information about next week's IU Health virtual hiring event, go to hiringhoosiers.com and click on this story. That push to add more workers at IU Health comes as COVID hospitalizations continue to rise across Indiana. There are 2,100 patients statewide, according to the latest update from the State Department of Health. That's a new high. The department also reported 4,714 new positive cases between Tuesday and yesterday. The 7-day positivity rate among unique individuals is 17.3%. Well, anyone who lives or works in Indiana can still get a COVID test for free. You can register at an Optum site at lhi.care/COVID testing or by calling 888-634-1116. You can also register at community test site. That link is on the State Department of Health website. After a 3-month criminal investigation, Hancock County prosecutors have decided not to file charges against a Headstone company. WRTV Investigates raised questions about Greenfield Granite's business practices in August. Customer after customer said they paid for headstones but never received them. The company's owner died by suicide in September amid the investigation. Police and prosecutors say she was their prime suspect. While they looked at others involved with the business, they didn't find enough evidence to prove a crime. The decision isn't sitting well with the dozens of customers who are still waiting for headstones and refunds.
That really disturbs me. I would think a company has got to be responsible. Whether the person is still here or not, that company, I came to this company, I didn't come to Amy. And I don't understand that.
The Attorney General's office filed a civil lawsuit against Greenfield Granite and hopes to get refunds and headstones for grieving families. The monument business is also facing at least 9 other lawsuits from upset customers. New developments in the Drejon Reed case to tell you about. WRTV Investigates Rafael Sanchez has learned that IMPD officers have been alerted about the potential that the grand jury reviewing Reed's shooting death will release its findings as early as Monday. Reed was shot and killed following a police chase that turned into a foot chase on May 6th. Metro Police say Reed shot at police, while the Reed family legal team denies that. State police and a special prosecutor led the investigation. Again, WRTV Investigates has learned officers are aware about a pending decision from the grand jury. WRTV has reached out to the special prosecutor and a family spokesperson to get a response.
People just want an experience. That's what we're lacking right now. So that was the driver behind creating this idea.
Coming up here, restaurants are turning to more than just heaters and fire pits to continue outdoor dining in the winter. And the high school football playoff field is getting smaller. See who's moving on to the regionals ahead in sports. Tonight, artists gather to celebrate a new exhibit at the Indianapolis Art Center. We told you about this last week. It's called 18 Black Lives Matter. The 18 featured artists all collaborated on the Black Lives Matter mural on Indiana Avenue. Organizers say this exhibition is a chance to shine a light on the artists' individual talents and messages.
Basically, guy I looked up to was Michael Taylor, who was killed by police brutality in the 80s. I was probably 8 years old at the time, but to just be a part of the Black Lives Matter movement from an artistic standpoint, it was awesome, and to be able to kind of represent him in my work was awesome as well.
Well, the exhibit is on display through January. The Art Center is open for free 7 days a week. Some of the artwork is for sale at the center and online at artcentermarket.com. Here we are about to enter the weekend. It is shaping up to be a beautiful one for you to be outside. Here's Kevin with a look at your forecast. Hey, Kevin.
Mark, I'm all smiles to deliver this forecast. There's no real change in the temperatures until we get to midweek next week, which means near record warmth through Tuesday. We're at 52 now. If you're at a high school football game tonight, what a night it was. Skies clear, wind fairly light, and the temperature comfortable, as we mentioned. The big blue H you see down in Kentucky, that is protecting us. Everything's kind of going up and over through the Great Lakes. So we're protected from any rain until Tuesday night. We're also getting a southerly flow of air around that, which will keep our temperatures way above average. 61 at 11 a.m. tomorrow, sunshine in the afternoon. Temperatures no cooler than the lower 70s, and I think in many spots warmer than that. 74 in Petersburg tomorrow, 73 in Muncie, Marion right at 70. Over in Richmond and Wayne County, 73. Brazil and Clay County, right at 74 degrees. Martinsville maybe mid-70s. All of this sets up the repeat for Sunday. Speaking of Sunday, Colts probably have the roof open on Lucas Oil Stadium. Temperature of 76. That would tie the record that was set back in 1999. As far as our temperatures around the state on the Sunday, they'll be in the mid to upper 70s in a couple of spots. So plan on 76, 77. That puts us in the record territory once again for high temperatures. I want to point out, Sunday and Monday, there are your record and forecasted temperatures right at the 76 degree mark. And Tuesday, still 75. That's out ahead of a cold front, which will change everything. So the timing will play a role as far as the strength of some of these storms. As you look at the map at noon on Tuesday, we're still dry, we're still warm, temperatures mid-70s. There's a line of showers potentially with thunderstorms. We'll keep our eye on a severe weather threat with the storms. They'll continue to move to the east and then by Wednesday be to the east, which opens the door to much colder temperatures across central Indiana. 7-day forecast temperatures, as you can see, 4 more days in a row will be in the 70s. Going back to average will seem cold. We'll be back into the mid-50s after those thunderstorms on a Tuesday, and we'll be back to 60s on Friday. And as you look at temperatures beyond the 7-day forecast, indications are we'll stay above average once again. Mark?
All right, sounds good, Kevin. Thank you. It might be a little too warm for high school football. It's a big week, sectional finals. The WRTV sports team takes us to the field.
Whiteland's season ended 1 year ago with a sectional loss to the eventual state champs from New Pal. The Warriors were the dominant team this time around. Chase Valentine scored one of 3 first-half touchdowns for Whiteland, and they held a 21-0 lead at halftime. Valentine would find his way into the end zone again in the third quarter, plows his way in from 4 yards out. Whiteland's O-line was great all night. 27 points on the board with that score. The real stars may have been the Whiteland defense. After a first-half shutout, they get points in the third. Caden Welling steps into the lane for the interception. Nothing but green grass ahead of him. 45 yards later, it's a pick 6. The offense still had a big play left in its pocket. Brant Coons had run for the first TD of the night. He would air one out to start the fourth quarter. Drops a dime to Dalton DeBaun. The first sectional crown since 2014 for Whiteland. 48-13 the final score. For New Pal, it's their first 2-loss season since 2013. A big battle in the small school division. 1A sectional final. Lutheran hosting Covenant Christian. Defensive scores for both teams in the first half. Lutheran pinning Covenant deep. A fumble in the end zone. Sophomore Jacob Roberts falls on it, and the Saints get the early lead. Covenant's D would get one of their own later. Another fumble. This time CC's Gage Coffey runs it back for the scoop and score. There were a ton of points still to be scored in what turned out to be a wild game. Final 3 minutes of the fourth, Coffey getting his second TD run of the game. Covenant took an 8-point lead. One final chance for Lutheran with a couple minutes to go. Blake White's pass picked off by Jackson Brow. Covenant's 4th pick of the game. They go on to win the first sectional in program history. Move on to the regional round next week. Dave Marin continues our Week 12 coverage with more sectional finals.
Warren Central taking on Lawrence North as the Wildcats D was working tonight. Larry Harris with the big stop here to stop the Warriors' drive. Then Lawrence North's Donovan McCauley would find Jordan Jackson with the grab. He'd get it across midfield. Then McCauley calls his own number, but would get stopped right at the goal line. Ollie Richardson would take it in a play later, and Lawrence North would lead 7-0. But that's where it would end for the Wildcats. Warren Central would answer back with 3 scores of their own, coming back to get the win tonight, 21-7. Cathedral and Decatur Central squaring off the Fighting Irish with 35 first-half points. They'd have the 35-7 halftime lead, but the Hawks would come out firing in the third quarter, trying to get back in this. But that's where Peyton Horsley's pass would be picked off by Zane Hill. The Irish's Nathan McCallhill would take a snap and go for the big gain here. Later in the fourth, McCallhill to the air. He finds Michael Page, and he's gone. Cathedral would get the 42-7 win over Decatur Central. Dave Marin, WRTV Sports.
Well, time will tell if the roof will be open at Lucas Oil Stadium for Sunday's game with the Colts. They're hosting one of the league's top teams, the Baltimore Ravens. Brad Drown shows us how the Colts are getting ready to see where they stand.
One final workout before their biggest test of the season.
One that's always stood held pretty tight. That's hard to overcome is turnovers. So, and you look at the 2 games we've lost. Those are the 2 games we turned it over the most and couldn't overcome them.
The Colts defense will have many eyes on it this weekend. They have performed as perhaps the league's best D for the first half of the season. But now they face Ravens QB Lamar Jackson, a player who can seemingly do anything on any play.
I think, just more so just playing smart. It is not, you can't play to make a play, you know what I'm saying? You just got to play to do your job. And, as long as everyone do that, I mean, that's the name of the game. Because once you go out and try to make a play and you want to do something that's not really your job, that's when things go south.
Phillip Rivers connected with 11 different receivers in last Sunday's win. T.Y. Hilton has gone from being a #1 option to one of many.
It's easier for us. You can't just concentrate on one guy, whether it's first down, second down, or third down. So, we got a lot of playmakers in. That's how you build great teams. Once you get the ball moving, they can't key on one guy or key on how to stop two guys. So we got multiple guys that can make plays, and it can make us better and dangerous.
It's the first of 4 straight games against playoff level and division title contender teams. The Colts will find out where they stand with 8 games still ahead of them. After Sunday's game, it's a short turnaround to Thursday night in Tennessee. Brad Brown, WRTV Sports.
Well, we told you earlier this week, grants are available to help Marion County restaurant owners offer outdoor dining in the winter. Tonight, we're seeing what that could look like. Scripps reporter Asher Qureshi reports restaurants around the country are getting creative to keep their patios open.
As temperatures drop, restaurant owners are scrambling to find new ways to keep patrons coming back to eat in.
What you're seeing are local mayors trying to incentivize and help restaurants winterize their outdoor spaces and really doing whatever they can to encourage outdoor dining.
But with indoor dining shut down in many places across the country, geodesic domes or igloos, tents, and mini greenhouses are popping up to help keep diners warm and safe. 49% of full-service restaurant operators say they are taking actions like installing tents or patio heaters to extend their outdoor dining season. Restaurant owner Sophie Hooterstein and her staff built 14 4x6 greenhouses for outside her restaurant. The idea was inspired by an installation in Amsterdam. Each one can accommodate 2 to 4 people and is helping sustain her business while indoor dining is restricted. Safety experts say this type of seating can help keep people safe if there's frequent cleaning and ventilation. California resident Sarah Moffitt dined inside a greenhouse for the first time.
I don't know if we're going to have a sense of normalcy ever again, but to have moments that you can share with friends and your close loved ones in a safe environment is kind of amazing.
The city of Chicago challenged designers from across the country to propose winter dining solutions. Atlanta-based national design firm ASD Sky created a modular cabin inspired by ice fishing huts that would fit inside the footprint of a parking space. The goal, create a reason to stay instead of taking out.
People just want an experience. That's what we're lacking right now. So that was the driver behind creating this idea.
Urban development designers Neil Rendell and Flo Meditel were inspired by Legos with their block party concept. The compact, heated 2-seater eat-in modules can be deployed and retracted.
Much like how you would previously push tables together, the idea would be that these frames of 2 could be connected in increments of 2, and you could have, larger or smaller groups based on that.
It's something they say could be utilized anywhere in the country.
It was really meant to be user-friendly and kind of fit the needs of the restaurant wherever it is.
And with 40% of restaurant owners worried about staying in business through February, many are banking on futuristic dine-in concepts to help them brave the uncertain winter ahead. Reporting from Chicago, I'm Asher Qureshi.
And enjoy. Temperatures during the day Saturday all the way to 74. The wind will be fairly light. Sunshine from start to finish. You got to enjoy that, Mark. Temperatures even warmer Sunday and Monday. Quite a roll.
Definitely plan on enjoying that. Hey, thanks for choosing WRTV. You want to stay with WRTV and ABC News for the latest on the presidential race on air, online, and on your mobile device. We hope you have a fun and safe, enjoyable weekend.